be in this building. So I'd just like to say a very warm welcome to Josh in this building tonight. We're so happy about that. As you all know, all the proceeds are going tonight to MS Research. You can make a donation at the bar here or downstairs in the box office, and all of the liquor sales and ticket sales are going there. We're very happy for that. I'd also just like to say we have an upcoming event August 23rd here at the Grand, and Wakefield is going to be performing. We're very happy about that. Downstairs we have a sign-up sheet where if you put your email address, just a thank you for coming and for seeing our upcoming events, we'll give you a discount code for coming, and you'll see Wakefield at that event. So please put your name down. Hope to see you there. And I'll now hand it over to Wakefield to get this evening with. Thank you again.
Hey everyone, this is Alexandra Sohn. Has everyone met Alexandra? No? She runs things here at the Grand. And I am really, really happy to throw this here at the Grand. This is the first show that I'll be throwing in my role as the resident poet and spoken word artist here. And I can't think of a better reason than to throw an event for someone else. Who might that someone else be? No one other than you, Mr. Josh Forbes. That's why we're here. Guys, I have seen a lot of poets come and go in, I think it's 2 decades on the mic now. 20 years I've been doing this from coast to coast, and some poets make an impression on you. They make an impression on you that goes past their performance, that goes past their person, past their persona. It's about their personality. It's about who they are in their entirety. And sometimes I call this man the grumpiest MF I've ever had. Any poetry reading, whether it be mine or anyone else, I said, this guy is some crap, man. We met 2 years ago at Poésie à la Pâtisserie, which is a poetry reading that I ran down at Pâtisserie du Soleil in Woodbine, Southwest Calgary. I did that for 2 years, and that's where we met. This gentleman shows up, I don't know who he is. We just talk like you do with everyone at a poetry reading, because that's what poets do, they like to talk. And I meet Josh Forbes, and he says he'll come on the mic, and he'll do the open mic, and after 3 of them, it was an unmistakable thing to happen that this man would become a feature. So he did feature at Poésie à la Pâtisserie. I think he featured 2, maybe 3 times. He has already featured once at Capitol Hill. It was a higher ground Capitol Hill with a Pinnacle Poetry Reading Series, and I wanted to feature him again, and this is how it's come about. For those of you who have read the Facebook invite, you saw the story. The story is what it is. I'm not going to go through it again, page by page, line by line kind of thing. It's just the truth. And what happened is, this gentleman picked the poets he thought would represent his work the best. In absentia was Miranda Krogstad, so we can give it up for Miranda. And the doc, John Williamson, was going to read too. He is in Canmore. So those 2 cats, I want to give them honorable mentions. If there was anyone else that Josh remembers, he will give them a mention as well. And then we have the 6 poets here. We have Adeline Van, we have Josie Ness, Charlie Powell, Chris Evans, Josephine Ray, James Kristen Sonderberg, and myself, Mr. Brewster. Yes! I think it's time that we just start getting this going.
Yes!
And although he was not going to perform a full set, which is the reason he's got us hired guns in here, he's still got a poem for us, and he's going to kick it all off. So the reason we're here, the man of the hour, the first poet, not like his new blood, bring him on back. It's Josh Forbes, everyone. Come on. So guys, we're in a pretty intimate and cool, shaped and funky space here. Sound does carry enough, with the mic and without. You know how it is with poets. We love to hear you shout back at us. So if you feel you need to yell something at the grumpy dude up here, then please feel free. Throw things. He ain't running nowhere, no more body, okay? It's all good and funky. So guys, give it up. Mr. Josh Forbes! Yeah!
Are we on?
Yeah, there you go.
So, like Wakefield mentioned, Miranda Krogstad and Dr. John are not able to be here. They both had pretty sketchy reasons for not showing up, and I've told them so.
Good.
The first one I'm going to do is the man I never thought I could be. I grew up looking up to heroes of all sorts, comic books, actors, athletes from so many different sports. I wanted superpowers, super strength, x-ray sight. I'd be smart and super handsome and always win the fight. Maybe I'd play hockey. I'd be the best ever seen. A cross of Gretzky, Bork and Waugh, a one-man hockey team. Maybe I'd play music, piano, drums, guitar, cross of Mercury, B.B. and Jones, a rock and bluesy country star. Maybe I'd make the films, maybe the TV screen, Michael Knight, Bond, or Skywalker. I could be anything. When your age is single digits, the future is so bright. Endless possibilities, imagination takes flight. Of all the things I wanted to do, the people I wanted to be, the person I never thought I'd be, is staring back at me. He greets me every morning, at night before hitting the sack. The man I never thought I could be. In the mirror, my dad is staring back. All right. So this one, I'm not sure I'm going to get through it. My voice is already given out on me here. But this is, as I was talking to people when I was first admitted into the hospital, I had a poem that I was struggling to write. I couldn't find the ending for it. And so it goes a little dark, and I finally found the ending for it. But it's, I'm likely going to cry. So if any of you start to cry, I'm blaming you.
Let's get emotional.
I broke today. Sitting in my wheelchair, clothing soaked in piss, I broke today. Not because I pissed myself. No, you see, I pissed into a urinal cup. It's far too dangerous for me to stand up. But because I had a fucking spasm while holding my plastic jug, it shook violently in my hand, erupting out of the top, spilling all over my lap, out onto my favorite chair, my upholstered lazy boy. How do I clean piss out there? I broke today. As I sat on the side of the tub, covered in smelling of piss, unable to pick my feet up, unable to swing my legs in, unable to clean myself up, unable to face my wife, unable to face my son, who soon will be home from school, who soon will know what I've done. I broke today. I sat naked in my wheelchair, crying all alone, in the middle of the living room, in the middle of our home. Tears were flowing from my eyes, embarrassment building for weeks. Alone I sat and cried, embarrassment running down my cheeks. Embarrassed for my kids, embarrassed for my wife, embarrassed for everything that's wrong with my fucking life. I broke today. Breaking down is nothing new. I do it all the time. My body is breaking down. My muscles, my joints, my mind. I am slowly dying, a little at a time. Not only am I losing my life, I am slowly losing my mind. I am now a broken man in so many different ways, flipping through the options, aids at home to help me stay. My wife is at work, son is at school, catheters, walkers, home care. I feel so alone. What if I don't want to stay at home? I broke today. I was broken. My son came home from school helping me. He really is the best. My wife came home later, cleaning me and my mess. They had put me back together like so many times before. So many cracks and chips and scars from each time I've shattered on the floor. They are the glue that holds me as MS tears me apart. They are the love that flows through my cracked and broken heart. I was put back together today. Constantly picking me up is a lot of work to do. Like a giant hobby model, I require patience and glue. My wife is the master builder. Her love rebuilds me every time. MS is so much worse than just these useless legs of mine. My wife does so much for me. She lifts me all the time, lifts me from the toilet, the bed, this wheelchair, from a downward spiral of mind. My love for her has grown through this diagnosis of mine. She does more as I do less. She's a woman of the finest kind. Love put me back together. A good friend once told me a saying from her dad: a man who falls and gets back up is not a fallen man. What about a man who cannot get up again? It's said that to lift one, it takes many, many hands. I have many amazing people who have come into my life. Writers, poets, friends, with who you all help live with my kids and wife. Your visits, your words, your smiles, they go farther than you know, farther than just my eyes and ears. You have lifted me from my soul. So I guess I want to take this moment while I have you by your ears to thank you for all your lifting over the past few months and years. It has not gone unnoticed. You have all told me it isn't hard, but it has meant the world to this cracked and broken bard. So with this weak and broken voice, there isn't much left to do except expose my soul one last time and simply say thank you.
You're more special to us than we can possibly let you know. But we're going to try. 6 or 7 poets are going to try and let you know tonight. So let's see who's first up. Give me a second. Born and raised in London, Ontario, he has been scribbling beautiful nonsense since 2002. Over a decade later, he decided to dive into the spoken word. Since then, he's become Grand Slam champion, CIPS representative, CFSWT member and coach, and a hilarious, angry cyborg. He's been on tour, taught at schools of every level, and has successfully stressed out airport security a total of 10 times. Alan considers himself a poet, performer, and entertainer. When people ask him what he does, his response is, I yell words at people professionally. Everyone welcome, Alan Gilmore.
Oh yeah, oh, this will make me look taller too.
There you go.
Oh, is this what it's like up here all the time? I can see stuff.
How's everyone doing tonight, Coach?
Yeah!
So, I'd like to read two poems by the amazing Josh Forbes. And when he was giving me, I don't even need a microphone. I'm going to just turn this thing off. There we go. I am loud and obnoxious enough as it is. Alright, so when I was being given the options of which poems of Josh's do, I don't know what to do, they're all so amazing. But I'm like, I like doing funny stuff. So, two poems that he graciously is going to allow me to do on his behalf tonight. I first heard these, I think, at the Good Earth Cafe last year, and, oh man, they're funny, they're good. You're about to see. I wish I could write like this. This is amazing. I'm going to just jump into it. I'm just going to do it. So, the first poem of his that I'm doing is called Artistic Constipation. Alright. Like most self-proclaimed experts, whose advice you might seek out, for problems and for guidance, and you're not what I talked about. I have so much time on my hands to sit and think these days. Normally I would be writing in silly poetic ways. I've never suffered such a case. Can't squeeze or push expression. I don't have much experience with artistic constipation. Usually my process is more of the diuretic kind. My thoughts flow free and loose from the rectum of the mind. I've tried many different things. Asked the wise and all-knowing. Google for expressive help to get my mojo flowing. Google had a list of suppository suggestions for my mental rectal jam, my creative constipation. Number 1, go for a walk. A first for any Google consult. Never has a query ended with an insult. Number 2, eliminate distractions. Number 3, play with yourself. Google suggested Legos. Like you, my mind went somewhere else. Writing prompts of many kinds. Suggestions thick and thin. Nothing seemed to plunge her free, the crap plugging from within. I thought of my advice to poets, dealing with an absence of creation. Simply write what you are feeling, your creative constipation. So I took my own advice, as simple as it is hard, for the struggling poet, this constipated bard. I'm here to tell you that it works. I have expertise now in this area. Once again, I have free-flowing, poetic diarrhea. Thank you so much for letting me read that. That was amazing. Oh, okay, and this next one, it's called I'm a Ghostbuster. It's also hilarious and beautifully written. God, I wish I could write like this. Here we go. 6'3", size 17, at just 16 years old. It's funny to think this imposing guy was always afraid of ghosts. Some would say irrationally so, for ghosts don't really exist. I always knew that they do, and the fear would always persist. Time-honored traditions, kid superstitions, dark bathrooms and Bloody Mary. Birthday sleepovers, 6 10-year-olds to 3 movies, way too scary. The Shining was one. My mind came undone. Those twins were scary as fuck. Exorcists and poltergeists ruined that night, as under the covers we'd duck. It began that night, but later in life, my fear would be firmly ingrained. My consciousness seared by things I would hear, things I couldn't explain. Basement boxes moving, my mind I was losing. Many thought my stories too tall. Then there was the time my daughter of mine spoke to the man in the hall. That's it, I'm done. I can't handle this one. Told my wife, don't tell me anymore. Prove that he's gone. Or moving on. I can't walk back through that door. She did what she did. In the sand my head hid. Eventually I was able to sleep. Though still to this day, my thoughts run away. If in the night I hear floorboards creak. Now that I'm older, I find I'm much bolder. I now know how to give ghouls a fright. I scare them all off. The hauntings have stopped. Like Sam and Dean, I'm winning this fight. My body has changed. MS rearranged. I'm bent and crooked. That is the secret. It's really quite wicked, how I'm winning these battles these days. I take to them the fight, each and every night. I have my way. Inside the ghoul's head. I have my way inside the ghoul's head. I wait and I shower at the darkest hour. Then I walk naked from shower to bed. If anything's peering, then that image is searing. Something from which there's no recovery. It serves them all right. For those millions of nights of supernatural, peeping Tomery. Anything watching, creeping or crawling, ghost, ghoul or goblin, or witch. All I can say to the monsters I scare away is, hey, ain't payback a bitch.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah!
That is so good. And now you have to hear my stuff. Oh, goodness. I don't even know why I bother writing notes, because I don't read them. Alright. So, I can kind of relate to, yeah, this thing's going. I'm not supposed to keep it on all the time anyways. Go back. So, the next poem I'm going to do is a bit of a sad one, but I'll end on a funnier note and more better note, I promise. This next one is about how people with disabilities in society are viewed, and how there's a disconnect between visible disabilities and invisible ones. It seems that we forget invisible disabilities exist. I mean, Josh Forbes, for example. This immaculate human being, had he not been in a wheelchair, you wouldn't think anything's wrong. Many things are invisible. And it's interesting to me that our empathy seems to stop right around when things start becoming inconvenient for us. And that's a shame. It really sucks, because when we treat people different because of the way they are, when we treat people different because they can't communicate in a way that's convenient for us, it makes us shittier people. That's what this next poem's about. T-minus 10 seconds. That's all when he stares at his medium coffee. No sugar, no cream, he just watches the steam rise up towards the stratosphere he dreams of every day. 5. Times he's sat in that same chair. Blank drink, blank taste, can't think, blank stare. Callous fingers comb through brown hair, but no matter how tight the fist, he can't get a grip, so he just sits there. Stirring, staring, staring, stirring his little void. Wishing for galaxies. Maybe thrift store jackets do too good of a job covering up his pain, but when people point and laugh, he feels every needle in his heart begin to vibrate. A planet supposedly home to everyone feels lonelier with each snicker that sneaks across empty space. Blind judgment soars across the room, impacting his chest, leaving a crater in his self-esteem deep enough to bury himself in. Wide enough to bury every version of himself he wishes he could be. Blind hatred only sees what it wants to see, and trapped in his own head. No one can hear him scream. Human language never slides off his tongue tastefully. Thoughts jumble in his mouth like alien text when his teeth try to translate. And the social atmosphere never quite fills his lungs with the correct mixture of 2 parts understanding and 1 part patience. So he sits there, stirring, staring, stirring his little void, daydreaming of the night sky, wishing he was a spaceman. You know, the shuttle Columbia disintegrated on re-entry due to a flaw in its insulation. The heat dug trenches across armor until it shattered, leaving fragments of a dream that barely fit together in the first place to fall back to what was supposed to be home. And like the shuttle, our astronaut tried to insulate his heart, but misery found the weak points and blew it apart. When he was born, standard tests said he would never have the brain capacity of an adult. But numbers don't measure a person's value. They can only count the number of times someone's eyes told their mouth to whisper creep whenever he walked by. The number of hours he spent locked in padded rooms because no one would just talk to him. The number of pills it took to make him normal, but his liver must have taken notes from society because it eventually failed him too. Somebody crying alone on a park bench says the same thing in any language. The story he tried to tell didn't fit between lines that somebody else drew, and we blamed his inability to speak for our inability to listen. My beloved spaceman, we failed you. I'm sorry you suffocated in a vacuum that we created. I'm sorry when you closed your doors, we didn't even think to knock. I am so sorry that people are finally going to learn your name when they read the obituary. But I promise you, we will do better. We have to do better. I will build every rocket ship you never got to finish. Create the galaxy you wished for. Tell your story under every night sky until you find what we couldn't give you here on Earth. A constellation. A home.
I guess I don't need the mic, it can be heard, so put that down where it's safe. Let's look at the next poet that we have coming up. Every time this poet comes up or comes near a microphone, I tell everyone to break out your thesaurus. That's the kind of language I have come to expect and really love from this particular poet. Let me read a few words. Please. A silent admirer of the spoken word scene for years, she finally and somewhat reluctantly made her debut in early 2018. Her writing doesn't tend to follow any specific theme, but instead just reflects whatever has piqued her interest in the moment. She enjoys playing with vocabulary, told ya, and her writing often contains words of the sesquipedalian? I can't read it, it's too small.
What does it mean? Wordy?
Of the wordy type. Just say so. It's hard to see this. Kirsten has a deep appreciation for the fine arts and has been taking part in various forms of it since she was a child. Everyone, please welcome Kirsten Sonnenberg! Come on down. Kirsten, you might walk the mic. Check. You might walk the mic.
I don't know. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, I think I'm okay. I think I'm good.
All right.
Here. Yeah, thank you. Hi, thank you all for coming out tonight. Oh, it's so great to see such a great crowd. Woo! So my name is Kirsten Sonnenberg, and I think I'm gonna, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read something by Josh Forbes here, and then I'm gonna read a couple of my own, and then cap off the night with another piece by Josh Forbes. So this first piece by Josh is called The Morning Show. Have you ever sat in a lawn chair in the very early morn, quietly watched the beauty of a brand new day being born, listening to the waves gently lapping on some boulders, hot chocolate warming your hands, favorite blanket round your shoulders, throw a fresh log on the fire and take your seat again. The show you have been waiting for is ready to begin. A fish jumps in the darkness, the splash echoes across the lake, the loon 3 days down lets you know she's now awake. The sunrise takes its time and rises very slow. Its beauty and its splendor gives you a special show. You sit and watch intently, not wanting to miss a thing. From somewhere deep within the forest, you hear a songbird sing. The sun starts branching out, bright yellow, orange, and pink. You nestle back into your blanket, enjoying not having to think. The sunbeams jump and dance, making their way across the sky. A squirrel chatters, "Good morning," from within a tree nearby. You know you're someone special. This show is just for you. Then all too often and all too quickly, your morning shows through. You stay nestled in your blanket beside the crackling fire. You realize you've got it good. There's nothing else that you desire. Except now your tummy rumbles just a little bit at first. You scramble up some breakfast and quench your morning thirst. You're glad you were alone, no one else to share the show. Your heart begins to smile for the secret of life you know. So when Josh asked me to do this piece, I shouldn't really assume, but I'm going to anyway. I assumed it was because I have a tendency to write and read a lot of nature-themed poetry, so I thought it would be appropriate to share a couple of my own pieces there, maybe kind of sneak an unrelated one in there, and then end the night on another piece by Josh Forbes. So this next piece I'm doing, this piece of mine I'm doing is called Dandelion Seed.
All right.
Wispy white hair disengaged from your dwelling by the breath of a child and pulled away aimlessly by the hands of the wind. Where will you go, little dandelion seed? What knowledge will you obtain on your precipitate peregrination? Will you drift past the irascible goose, hissing and lurching at an adventuresome varmint who dare trespass onto her domain? And will you linger near her nest, winking covertly at the inquisitive goslings as they ingest the dream wonders? Will you flit beneath the vaulted mallard, squawking warnings to his brethren, the wind murmuring melodies through his wings as he soars? Or will you tease the river, its waves a fractious child, jabbing and grasping at those unable to conquer its temper? Will you cruise beside the barrow's gold nine, the frigid water caressing his slick tuxedo in a cloak of contentment? Will you scrutinize the stones upon the river bank, marbled from years of soppy shellacings fitting felicitously into youthful palms? Will you waft towards the pompous robin perched upon the archaic tree, his flaming chest puffed out with pride as he reminds ramblers to cheer up, cheer up? Will you surreptitiously slip by the spider, her lustrous web glistening with ambiguous pearls, tempting foolish victims with its allure? Will you breeze by the butterfly, the dragonfly, and other fair folk, their kaleidoscopic wings gleaming with enchantment? Will you ultimately settle upon the virtuous hill, where your saffron relatives are yearning for you to embed yourself and shroud the grass in gold galore? So this next piece I'm doing is called The Arrival, and it's actually a spring-related piece, and I know it's just about fall, but we didn't really get much of a spring, so well, we'll just consider this a consolation prize. That's my excuse there.
Yeah.
When the sun pulls back its opaque quilt, its keen face ready to greet buoyant early risers, and the morning bird chirps blithely, eager for the scrumptious critters lured out by the wind's warm breath. When dew disperses across the meadow lush and verdant, leaving iridescent kisses in its wake, and plants rouse from their protracted slumber, offering forward infant growths to be held by the sun's doting hands. When the cat sprints towards the east, absorbing the earthly essence, and jackrabbit sheds its milky jacket, donning instead a natural coloration much preferred by Mother Gaia. When rain saturates the land in a moist, metallic smell, and the cloud giants come out to play, their rumbling laughter reverberating through the sky. When powdery chalk merges with murky puddles, concocting chromatic cocktails and coating rubber boots in liquid happiness. When maternal voices neglect to nab children at curfew and squeals of juvenile jubilance resonate through the still, brightly lit night, that is when you know spring has finally arrived. Now I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. This is a little bit different than what I've been tending to write about lately. This is one of my earlier pieces, and it's a tongue-in-cheek piece dedicated to those caregivers, teachers, nannies, whatever that we hopefully never had. This is imaginatively called preschool teacher. Dear preschool teacher, daycare teacher, educator, cultivator of children's minds, tell me, why did you decide that teacher was synonymous with drill sergeant? Why you treat children like subordinates and greet parents with a Stepford smile? Dear authoritarian, disciplinarian, mentor, and guide, can you confide to me why the colored brains from every child you mind? For surely they've done something horrendous if that's the response you inspire. That is, horrendously mild, for every sneaky smile or minor mule or altercation or confrontation causes you to explode, enveloping them in a barrage of shrapnel. For how dare they not attend to their own dilemmas and instead force you to do the job you're supposed to do? Listen, angelic perfection is unexpected. Toddler wrangling can be a demanding profession, and slip-ups are only human. But your humanity has slipped out of you entirely, been replaced with hostility and apathy. Geez, it's you who seems to be the petulant child, perpetually pitching fits, pinching nerves because you deserve no. You demand respect in this domain. These imps gotta learn their place, and in order to preserve your rank, you sometimes have to take drastic measures. Thundering voice, bulging eyes, a beleaguered sigh, and gripping wrists a little too tight. It's not like those years of college provided you with the knowledge on what to do with these ethereal beings seeking only a guiding hand and a warm heart. The only guiding your hand can do is towards their art, ripping projects from their grips and nitpicking little slip-ups and regluing and recoloring when they look away and destroying their individuality in order to abide by your conformity. It's not as if their parents are any wiser after all. They stand there admiring crafts arranged uniformly on the wall while you assure them that it's true that their little one did that with no help from you. The parents' trust in you is evident as they bundle you in a blanket of compliments, confident that your money well spent, that you spend your time concocting rhymes and enriching minds, that you mind through every word, every action, that your satisfaction is gained from the unadulterated good that you do. If only they knew that the most wholesome thing about you is the hole you pulled your heart out through, transforming you into a fairy tale villain, luring in children with your poison apple ploys and gingerbread house lies, saccharine on the outside, but once inside they're exposed to the flames of your everlasting agitation, a constant consternation that never settles even when they do. When the blinds are closed, and the lights dim below, and the children lay their heads down to sleep, still the calmness of nap time brings you no relief, for every flinch, every whine, every mutter, every cry only fuels your inferno. How do you expect them to close their eyes when your lullabies or battle cries of "Be quiet!" reverberating through their minds, leaving behind echoes that never retire? Like you. Thank you so much. You guys have been an awesome audience so far. I'm going to end this set on another piece by Josh Forbes titled "The Ballad of the Man with the Glassy Stare." This is the story told to me by the man with the glassy stare as he traveled on the city bus headed for God knows where. I asked him if he could tell me how he came to lose his eyes, and the story that he told me sent chills running down my spine. He turned to me with that glassy stare and said, "It's a hell of a thing. I was riding on the number 1 in May of last year's spring. I settled in and took my seat on that very busy bus. A man stared at me the whole ride home from the seat across. He stared at me and stared at me. It was bearing on my nerves. I would turn away and then back again, but his stare was undisturbed. How dare you sit and judge me," I thought to the man upon the bus. "What gives you the right to sit and stare and judge the rest of us? I was wearing dirty clothes and his were neat and clean. Mine were ragged from hard honest work that he had never seen. He had a leather briefcase, which indicates a man of power. He looked embarrassed to have to share the bus with me for half an hour. I was certain he was arrogant the way he kept on staring. The kind of guy no one likes. He's rude and overbearing, quick to judge and holds a grudge and always thinks he's better than those who have to share his bus and ride it all together. A man like that, he cannot see although he has his eyes. He can only see the surface. He cannot see inside. He cannot see my kindness. He cannot at all see me. A man who sits and judges does not deserve to see." So he stared at me the whole ride home until we reached a stop, and that is when I lost my sight when I watched the man get off. He stood and opened up his briefcase by his side, producing a long white folding cane. The staring man was blind. He turned to me with that glassy stare and said, "It's a hell of a thing. I haven't seen a single thing since that day of last year's spring. But the Lord knows what he's doing, and my lesson it may be, a man who sits and judges does not deserve to see."
Everyone, keep it going. Kirsten Sonneberg! I'd like to say that it really felt that you embodied Josh Forbes in that poem. Shannon has just said, "She's doing a fucking good job." So yeah, that was really awesome. Guys, you've heard from the man himself, Josh Forbes. You've heard from Alan Langbon. You've heard from Kirsten Sonnenberg. We have 6 more poets to go, so let's take a short break. Guys, in this break, in this meantime, it's not preschool, but talk to someone you don't know, okay? See you in a few. Thank you.
So I'll talk to myself.
Oh.